Hey everybody!
What's up?
So,
Dude, we took a bit of a hiatus. You want to explain that?
well,
Just kind of briefly, for like the one person who watches this.
we started sounding super generic and wanted to see a movie that I had some fun. And
Well, that's why we went to this one.
so,
Now, granted, we saw this at separate times.
Yes.
Because schedules are kind of shitty like that right now.
yes. Alright, did you see the weird short in front? So we saw Incredibles 2.
I really wanted to ask. We saw Incredibles 2, yes. I wanted to ask you about this. I love this short. Like, I love this short more than I loved Incredibles 2, actually.
The short was just... It was strange. Like, I
it
understood
was-
the metaphor, though.
Okay, as long as you understood the metaphor, that's all I'm worried about. Because apparently a lot of white people are like, I don't know what the fuck it is, and I'm just like, how can you not understand this? It's clearly a metaphor for growing old, raising a child, and having to have the turmoil of watching that child grow close to you and then grow apart from you, and then finally wanting to keep that little bit of them left that you remember them as this innocent little thing, and have to have them leave. It can be very traumatic, especially for people who had good childhoods or people who had to raise their child through very, very bad things, like if they were sick or ill, and they had to raise them like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is lost on you about this,
I
stupid
think
white people?
They were like, oh, well, she ate him and then he became real. And it's like, they don't get
No,
it.
it's a metaphor for internalizing your pain. Just, I hate people.
I did think it was interesting, though. I was just like, I was kind of like taken aback. I was like,
It was really, really heartfelt. I honestly cried. I cried like a bitch. I really had to fight not to sob in the middle of the goddamn theater.
It just like hits you like that, like
Yeah, it really did. I don't know what it was, but it just kind of hit me with this emotional gut punch, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucking sad. And yeah, I
no dialogue at all in this.
No,
movie.
it was entirely conveyed through visuals and emotions, and
It was very.
they did
well
a very
done.
good job. I thought it was very interesting to center this around a Chinese Canadian group,
Yeah.
because that is not something you see often in cinema
it
and
is
movies.
not.
They very much make a big stand. They're very big Canadian people, but they also have large portions of their Chinese heritage. So I like this. I thought it was good. The animation was. I wasn't super hot on some of the character models, but it really grew on me in the short time that I was with it.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw it, I was like, these look kind of weird, but they really went all out with the expressions and how they worked.
Yeah.
And I thought that the short, I want to say it was Bao.
I believe so.
I think that was it. I thought that it was a very, very well done short, and that's something that I have yet to be disappointed with Pixar. Like, some of their movies haven't quite been as good for me a lot of times, like Cars 2, Cars 3.
I don't think I ever saw Cars
That
3.
dinosaur movie they did,
So,
The Good Dinosaur, something like that. There are some movies I'm just like, guys, this is just... Please don't.
dude, Coco was so good, though.
I have yet to see Coco. I have been told that it is the best movie about the Mexican Day of the Dead
It's fantastic.
celebration of family and love and life and all that good stuff.
It's on Netflix now.
It is, and hopefully it's without that 25-minute Frozen commercial.
Dude, that had to be pulled.
Yeah, I know, because people were walking out of the theater going, "Am I in the right fucking theater? I've been sitting here for 30 minutes.
Dude,
I want to see Mexicans and tamales."
it was seriously a problem. Like, people couldn't read signs. Like, it was advertised in the trailer.
Right.
It was advertised on the poster, and we even had like a little thing, and people still came out, this played Frozen. It's like, there's been so many people telling you this. Like, within 2 weeks, it was pulled. The short was pulled.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had the same problem with Deadpool and them being like, "Oh, this is a comic book movie. I should be able to take my kids to them, sit them down in the chair, make sure they shut up."
Nope.
I don't want to see brains exploding everywhere. We saw a dude getting pegged. I had to explain to my kids what pegging is. I only discovered it last month. Super fan. I don't know why that person is a super fan of pegging. But
Okay, but like the transitioning, like from Deadpool into this picks up right where the other one left off,
which
14
is
years ago.
kind of a problem for me.
Well,
Like,
because they did a video game.
First
yes,
off, I enjoyed this movie.
I did.
I didn't play the video game. I enjoyed this movie a lot.
I played the
I thought this was
the video game.
a very, very well done movie. I have some issues with it, which we'll get more into spoilers later.
Yes.
But I enjoyed Incredibles 2. I thought it was good. I really think this should have come out probably about at the absolute latest 5 years ago.
You're not wrong.
And I'm not saying like they missed a boat on anything, because like I say, everybody still does really good things, and I really, really forgot how much I miss Craig T. Nelson in movies. Oh my god, I want him in more things again. I really do. He's so much fun. But I think that this really, really should have come out at the absolute latest 5 years ago, because it should not have crossed the decade mark for this to have been made.
Yeah.
And I'll get more into that with what I was disappointed with later, but just getting into like the overview, it continues the story perfectly.
And I like that it like with continuing the story, it didn't feel like the same movie. Like it felt different. I mean, you're like, I see the look on your face.
It felt different in the same way Deadpool 2 felt different. They did a very similar, unlike Deadpool 2, where like all the side stuff is basically the same that they repeat. It felt like all the side stuff in Incredibles 2 was new, but like the main story was the same.
Not quite, but
well, we'll get more into this in spoilers, but I
Yeah.
felt the bad guy was very, very lackluster in this. Like they really,
I saw it coming a mile away.
exactly, and that's my thing with Incredibles 1 and Syndrome. You don't. I mean, you have overtones of what this person wants, but you don't know who it is until they reveal themselves, and then all the pieces fall together, and you're like, "Oh shit! Yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense."
It kind of like you have
This was
one of two guesses.
horribly obvious. I mean, you don't even get that. Like, if you have half a functioning brain to rub along there, you know who the bad guy is.
I thought at first it could be one person, but it was it was very obvious late, like within like 10 minutes of me thinking I could maybe. I was like, oh nope, not at all. It's
when he was first introduced, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's way too overenthusiastic. And then I saw the other person, and I'm like, nope, it's you.
Yeah,
It is you.
yeah.
Because it can't be anybody else. Getting into that, what else did I really enjoy about this? I like the uptick in the production.
Yes.
Like, somebody thankfully spliced together a side-by-side of Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2, and, like, the visual aesthetic. And, like, looking at that, I definitely was looking at Incredibles 1 through very rose-tinted glasses, because Incredibles 1, they really kind of look like plastic people. I hate to say this, but they do. And so...
Something else, damn it.
Okay, you go. I'll talk about this for a minute.
Yep.
And they...
Oh.
Yeah, just walk in front
I
of the
know.
character there. That's
Sorry, Sean. Sorry.
up your editing game.
Keep
Okay,
talking.
but with Incredibles 1, they very much look like almost... they look almost like Barbie and Ken dolls in front of the screen. And they don't look quite as good. They look good for when they were made. Like, this was very obviously Pixar's first, like, real big, going whole hog into very stylized human characters, which I really like the art aesthetic and design of this movie. I thought it was really, really good. Then this picks up, and it follows into that, but it is actually as good as what you think the original is. The characters look like they're actual people. Granted, in still the very much the same 50s Art Deco style. 50s, 60s modern art style caricatures, but at the same time, they actually look like people. You can see strands of hair actually act like hair. Yeah, come around the long way instead of doing the truffle shuffle in front of the camera. That's going to look great on when we edit this. But I thought it now officially looks as good as I remember it looking.
Yes.
I just had to talk for a whole long, so you talk now.
I can't really talk much more about it without like getting into spoilers because.
Well, there are some things we can talk about. So,
I do agree. Like, I think it should have definitely come out sooner, but like it's so like Pixar definitely like paid attention to detail.
yes,
It was. I had so much fun. Like I remember watching the original Incredibles and watching this one. I got took back to the fun I used to have with the
exactly.
movie.
That's one of the things that this movie really excelled at was it recaptured how you feel without resorting to just going, oh, you remember this, you remember this. They created
the
something.
showing I saw was like mostly adults. Like
Yes.
where I was, there was mostly adults.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people saw this probably about when they were 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And so now those 10 and 11-year-olds are 25 and almost 30-year-olds at some point.
Yeah, it's been 14 years.
It's been 14 years. I saw this when I was 16, I think, and I really liked the hell out of it. I thought it was a really great superhero movie. I thought it was a really great CG. It really pushed... The first movie really, for me, pushed what CG could do, because it didn't just do standard bizarre little cutouts of people,
Yeah.
like what DreamWorks usually shits out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't try for that photorealistic thing that Pixar was usually doing with, like, Toy Story.
Yeah.
This created its own unique art style, and it really took me back to that Batman the Animated Series style art design. But it was like, okay, so this is what Batman the Animated Series would look like in 3D if it was done well.
Yes.
Not like those really shitty video games that came out.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, but
like, I could definitely tell they were trying to, like, give you the feel of, like, old school, like, superhero with, like, a
yes.
40s, 50s vibe.
It very
with
much, it felt like it felt like Neil Gaiman was helping write this, because he's very big into the Gold and Silver Age superheroes, and it really felt like they were paying a huge homage to stuff like that.
Yes.
Which kind of comes into a bit of a problem, because they also do that with the bad guy. But we'll get more into that in spoilers. Just very brief overtones.
I'm just going to give a recommendation to go see this in the theater.
All right, well, that's a good recommendation. I would also agree to go see this in theater. Can we talk a little bit more about the movie without spoiling real quick?
Go for it.
Okay, well, just the briefest overtones. The movie, like last movie, we very much followed Mr. Incredible in his journey through almost a midlife crisis, and what that would kind of look like in a world where superheroes were no longer allowed to be superheroes.
Yes.
And it's essentially you're taking somebody who loved what he did and saying, no, you can't do this, go do something else. And he goes, and it's pretty much the story of any adulting you have to do is, no, you can't be the race car driving movie star you always dreamt of being. You have to go work a shitty office job. Go sit in your cubicle for the next 8 hours and listen to somebody complain about things that you can't possibly help.
Yes.
And so...
Well, then he gets the opportunity.
Which he then gets the opportunity, and it's all about season destiny and the consequences that can have when you leap before you look.
Yeah.
And so, this is... It's not that tale in Incredibles 2.
No.
I will say that this is very much kind of the opposite because we follow in this one Elastigirl, Helen Parr.
Yes.
And somebody comes through with the idea, I'm trying to say what is in the trailer so I don't accidentally spoil anything. Somebody comes forward with the idea of trying to get supers back into the world stage to try and say, these are not bad things. If anything, the world has gotten worse since we stopped having these.
Yes.
Which there's something at the beginning of this movie that I love the hell out of because it's so amazingly cynical. But we'll get to that. And so this one instead follows somebody saying, well, you know what, Elastigirl, you're much more of a safer bet.
Yes, because she caused a lot less damage.
She's not super strong, so she has to find a way other than punch the thing really hard, which was an interesting thing to try and sidestep the whole Superman problem. When your character is so super strong that all he has to do is punch it and the day is saved, what do you do from there? And instead you have to think around the box and say, look, you're really good at what you do, but what you do causes collateral damage. Don't worry about it.
I thought it was an interesting choice to go with her.
Yes, I like that idea, because I had this exact same problem with the first movie, is how are they going to get around it? Oh, they just built a tough robot.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine for the rules you establish. You establish he's not invulnerable, he's not unkillable, he's just really super strong.
Yes.
So that worked there. But
also
with this, they had to not do that, and I was so happy that they did, because so many sequels would just fall into the loop of just saying, oh, just have Mr. Incredible punch it.
No. This one was like you follow her, and also you follow Mr. Incredible now having to be the stay-at-home
Yes,
parent.
and that deals with a lot of things of parenting, the difficulties that holds.
And Jack
and how
developing his powers.
Well, it's not just that, it's also a metaphor for taking somebody who is used to being... I read this because I come from somebody who had this kind of a father, somebody who's very much... a fix the problem type parent,
Yes.
and then having to have them go into a scenario where you really can't just fix the problem. You have to adapt, you have to grow, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yes. I think that's about all.
From there, that's about all the minutiae that we can talk about.
Until we spoil the shit out.
Until we spoil this, and I really enjoyed the way that they concocted it for the most part.
Yes.
They introduce a few other supers. I kind of wish they had gotten some more screen time.
There's a few I wish had gotten more screen time, and a few I'm just like, why are you here?
Right.
There's one I have a problem with.
All right. Well, we'll get into that later. So, all of that said, we strongly give the recommendation: go see this in theaters. Is this in 3D? I don't think it is.
It might have been. I think we had like one 3D screen.
If you have 3D, don't bother. There's not enough to make it 3D. While 3D will help in some aspects, like when Elastigirl does her little Spider-Man thing throughout the city. Like,
it
times
wasn't
like that,
3D. It wasn't that great. I caught like the end of a 3D part of one of them, just like going in and checking. The data.
3D is 100% unnecessary in this. It doesn't add anything. But yes, I would strongly
say
recommend.
A bigger screen is better.
That I will agree, because there is a lot going on, and a wider screen will give you more chance to take in the atmosphere of what's going on. Because, again, this very much reminds me of like Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of minutia around you that you can just look at and go, okay. Like at one point, she's talking to somebody over her little communicator, and there's a Quest Industries building in the background.
I saw that.
And I was just like, like it. And so, but that kind of becomes a bit of a problem later, because there's one point where Bob is falling asleep, and like the kids kind of pick up, and they're watching the Johnny Quest cartoon, and I'm like, wait, we just had Quest Industries. Is this like Venture Brothers, where there's the Rusty Venture cartoon, but Rusty Venture is an actual person?
I mean,
These are just like
does
retail.
Disney own the rights to Johnny Quest?
I don't know. They probably worked out something.
I mean, they
I-
almost own
no.
everything now.
Hanna-Barbera has rights over the old cartoons like that, which is owned by Turner
That's
Industries. I'm trying to remember how far down this chain goes. Ted Turner owns Hanna-Barbera,
Yeah.
and I don't know if Turner sold off to anybody at some point. If they did, I'm sure somebody will correct
I
me.
thought it was Warner Brothers, which I thought they did.
Did Warner Brothers buy out Turner or Ted Turner Industries? I don't remember.
I just know they usually have like those kind of characters like show up in like Warner Brothers properties. So
I don't know. Maybe they worked something out. Maybe it's because AT&T is buying Time Warner now. So I don't know. But
Disney and like Warner Brothers is eventually gonna.
we're living in the cyberpunk future where the corporations own everything.
You're not wrong.
No,
We're getting there.
no, we are there. We're there.
I'm
It's no longer a question of will we get there. It's when are we getting there.
It's
Happening fast.
Why haven't they bought the government yet?
Pretty much.
But
But that being said, that was like one of my only world-breaking moments where I was completely and totally sucked out of everything. Was Johnny Quest. So one of my favorite old cartoons from back when. Have you ever seen some of those? And they are great. Like in the first 3 episodes, Race Bannon just flat out murders 5 people.
dude,
It's awesome.
I was also a part of the mid '90s Johnny Quest.
Ew.
Yeah.
That is not nearly as good.
No, it's. I mean, the animation was terrible, but from what I remember, but this is a long time ago.
Anyway,
It's like the mid '90s Speed Racer. Like I love the animation.
we don't talk about that.
But the show was not great.
We do not talk about that.
Okay.
So I guess
Nickelodeon
spoilers in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna punch Jared in the dick if he keeps talking about mid '90s Speed Racer suck ass. So, okay, what issues did you have with this movie? Because I have a
The
huge.
obvious villain.
Okay, that was my biggest problem too. Because this person, there's 2 people that come forward with the idea of bringing supers back. Her brother, this dude, and his sister.
Yes.
And the brother's very starstruck. He's like, "You're supers. You're superheroes. You should be out fighting crime and bad guys and helping people, showing them
For a half a second, I don't know why I thought it was him.
Well, that was kind of where my brain went because there's a scene earlier. The movie picks up right after
Literally the end of Incredibles.
the end of Incredibles 1. I'm trying to remember the bad guy's name. The Underminer.
Yeah.
It picks up right as the Underminer comes out, and they stop him. And there's a lot of collateral damage because this guy's got a huge fucking underground tank. He robs a bank,
Yeah.
and the Incredibles get arrested.
Yes.
And so
This shows up, but he manages to get
this
away.
leads to my favorite scene in this movie, which is the cop sitting there grilling Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, saying, "What the hell were you doing? The banks were insured. We have steps in place for this." And it's this point where this world has gotten so bitter and jaded and cynical about this. This is just a thing that happens, and it's just like, sit your ass down, all right? We don't need you.
Pretty much.
You're a part of a bygone era. You don't need to exist anymore. And I'm just like,
God.
the adult part of me loves this so much. It reminded me of the beginning of Incredibles 1, where superheroes ceased to exist because somebody tried to commit suicide and was stopped.
Yeah.
And that is the entire crux of your movie existing. And looking,
It was so dark.
like
that
when
you
I was
were
a kid, I'm just like,
surprised.
that's stupid. And I look at it as an adult, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! I feel sorry for people who vigilante as superheroes in our time,
Yeah.
because there are people who do that. Like 1 or 2 are out there doing stuff.
Phoenix Jones.
He's the big one. There are others, but I was reminded of that. And
Phoenix
and
Jones
how-
and Dark Guardian are the 2 I can think of immediately.
Right. But I was just reminded of how, oh right, this is the actual world.
Yeah.
And people are a bunch of jaded, cynical
Oh, dude,
fucks
Phoenix
in
Jones
this.
has been arrested so many times.
Well, it's vigilantism.
Yeah.
But this was done as a way of saying, you don't need to exist. Stop being a good guy.
Pretty much.
And I'm just like, God, yeah, okay. There was a shot of reality that I needed.
Yes.
After superheroes would disappear, you would very obviously try and set up steps so that when supervillains show up and superheroes aren't allowed to come fight them, then you have steps set up to where all this is just taken care of eventually. And I was just like,
That's why
Fuck.
Syndrome was such a good villain for the first one.
he was a good pick
Because-
for the world. I didn't like him like as a villain. For me, a really good villain is a villain who believes he's right.
Well, Syndrome was like going to fake being a hero. And
Exactly.
like
I say,
Chekhov,
Syndrome
he
is
was
really
like-
great for the Incredibles universe for what he does.
Yes.
So that's fine. For this, however, it turns out to be the sister, and the second you see her, she's shaded and in dark, and I'm just like, you could not have telegraphed this harder if you had a neon shirt on that said, "I'm a bad guy."
Like, yeah, she even came in, like, was, like, drunk or hungover or something, and,
Yeah.
like...
Well, she's also animated very shadily. Like, even when
Yes.
she's in full light, she's got shaded eyes. She constantly tilts her head down.
Like, she slouches. She's supposed to, like, the brains behind the operation.
Exactly, and I'm just like, fucking hell, man. You couldn't have shaded this
Like,
a
right
little-
when it...
You couldn't have done this a little better to try and make sure that it's not
When it was,
the
like...
most obvious thing ever.
When it, well, like, they were, like, breaking down, like, what Mrs. Incredible's, like, opinion of, like, bad guys and, like her in general. Like, it's like, you're just so obviously saying, I know you're the villain, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like... And then,
Like,
like,
the only
she
reason
builds
she-
this tech that leads to somebody that she put there to be a sheep, basically.
Like, I was able to get into the mood and kind of suspend my disbelief and be like, all right, well, whatever.
Because this is how we're gonna. This is how we're gonna get.
Well, this
to the
is kind of a
end.
testament to the movie being as good as it is.
Yeah.
As obvious as this was, I was still able to suspend my disbelief a little bit and enjoy the moment, just based entirely on the atmosphere and the visuals they implemented in it.
Dude, we had to put signs up at work saying this movie might cause you to have a seizure.
Yeah, that's the big thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, because I'm not susceptible to seizures at all, and even I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, guys.
Dude, I was standing there. Oh my god! Like the whole scene where she fights the villain.
Yeah.
Like it's the decoy, but yeah. That was like that scene. I'm like, gee, like
Yeah,
I
it's
was
like-
shielding my eyes a little bit too. I'm like we legit have signs in front of every theater.
Well, the
warning
movie,
people.
the screening I went to even put up a thing that said, hey, this can cause seizures.
That's-
Be very, very careful. Like, in the movie itself.
Oh, I
had-
don't know if ours had that.
They probably added a bit digitally, because most all things are sent out digitally now. You can just broadcast that into the middle of it.
Yeah, that went up like the first day of the movie was there. We
Yeah.
put signs up.
I saw a lot of people complaining about that. Like, Disney should put a warning in front of this, or they shouldn't have the bright flashing lights. And I'm like, all right, I understand why this happened in the movie world, like why this had to happen like this.
Yeah.
I understand. This is one of the few times I was in total agreement. They really should have put up a warning that said, hey, this is going to have some really bright flashing lights.
Yeah.
If you're susceptible to this, just be warned. You'll know when it happens.
Like, yeah, like, as the movie starts, that
Yeah.
should have been in
Which,
there.
fortunately, there's not a lot that happens in those scenes that you need to look at. You can
Yeah.
kind of infer what's happening through audio only, because, like, Mrs. Incredible gets beaten up and she gets shocked a little bit, and she kind of loses a bit of her body movement.
Yeah.
But from there, they go on and they have a chase, and they find out, oh my god, we arrested a pizza guy who was under control, and then Mrs. Incredible figures out the amazingly obvious thing that should have been obvious from the beginning.
Yep. I was kind of surprised, like, how many heroes got hypnotized. It was like,
Well, they do introduce some new supers in this, which I like the idea that this isn't something that just goes away because you slap a law on it.
Yeah.
Which kind of harkens to the reason the X-Men were formed, like as a comic book for repressed minorities.
Yeah.
These people don't stop existing just because you don't want them to be here.
Yeah, there was a couple I didn't particularly care for.
Okay,
like,
what did you not like about these guys? Because I like just about all of them.
There was just the old guy that was a straight fart joke, and it was
Reflux?
Like, yeah.
Well, that kind of works with the joke acid reflux. And
Yeah.
he gives it as like, problem or a gift? You decide! And it's like, okay.
And then
Which
there
I've
was,
seen way grosser superhero powers, so I was not even remotely put off by
well,
this.
there was that, and then like the Crusher guy.
I thought his was interesting.
Well, it's like as soon as like it just got to the
No,
point.
I'll grant you
where-
he was a plot convenience.
Yeah, and it gets to
character.
that joke. It's like, well, can't you undo this? Who would uncrush something? Like, it was
Well,
one of those.
I don't think it was like that. I
kinda
think it's like, it doesn't work that way. I can't uncrush. I'm the crusher. Which he gives the explanation is like, can you unpunch somebody? I mean,
Yeah.
once it's done, you can't exactly undo it. Like, sometimes it doesn't work like that.
Well, but it just somebody with those kind of abilities, it would seem they should work both. But I mean, maybe
Well,
they don't.
you would think that, but then again, can you unelectrocute somebody if you have lightning powers?
No.
There you go. I mean, granted, you can try and use them moderately as like a defib unit, but you can't just unkill a man if you accidentally do that with your electro powers.
I think that's the point of. There's a character that
Probably.
is the.
But
No, it's Black Lightning and not Thunder, but Lightning. Like Black Lightning is like a discharge, and Thunder is like a charge.
okay.
It's a thing.
Okay, I'm gonna take your word on that. But I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I thought that outside of the bad guy, which was very much the weakest link to it all, it really kind of worked well.
I wish I really want to see like a Frozone movie. Like I want.
Frozone in that.
Well,
I don't know if that would work so well. This is one of the few movies where Sam Jackson doesn't have to curse a lot, and
like the MCU.
yeah. Well, even there, it sounds weird having Sam Jackson not drop a motherfucker.
He almost got one.
It almost did. It happened so naturally. It doesn't sound like he. Hang on. It happened so naturally. Like I'm pretty sure they carried with it, and they just cut the video like that.
Yeah.
Because you can usually tell when somebody starts and stops swear mid sentence.
Yeah.
But with Sam Jackson, it sounds very natural. Sorry if there was a weird cut there. We're experimenting with trying to make it seem a little more seamlessly whenever our thing rolls over to a new episode of something.
Yep.
Or a new video feed, so we're trying to clear that up a little bit.
We're playing with it.
Yeah, if we mistime that, then Jared will just cut this out, or we'll sit there and look like assholes for 5 seconds.
Pretty much.
But, yeah, long story short, the bad guy is hypnotizing a whole bunch of people and trying to keep superheroes outlawed. Like this is the part of the movie where it kind of falls apart of what the bad guy's overall plan is, because superheroes are illegal, and her brother wants to make superheroes legal again, but she
blamed the death of her parents on superheroes.
Yes, which was them not being there, but they weren't there because they were already made illegal.
Yes.
So,
but the dad was like, so the superheroes are gonna come, and
well, he tries to call 2 of them that he was personal friends with.
Yeah.
Which, depending on where this was time-wise, we know that Gazer Beam was on the island at one point and was dead.
Yes.
Byronic was listed in Syndrome's terminal as deceased.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Syndrome killed them both.
So I think Syndrome killed them both, so that was kind of a neat callback to ramifications from the past to the future. Yeah. And I like that a lot.
We don't know at that point they were dead or not, though. Like, we don't know when Syndrome
Well, judging by
them.
the fact that Gazer Beam was a pile of bones in a cave somewhere,
yeah.
which, that takes time. I'm pretty sure he was dead, or at least on the island by this point.
Yeah. I don't know how long Syndrome had been doing his thing.
We can infer that. Well, no, we really can't. So yeah, I don't know. Either way, it calls back to the
well,
idea
they were
that,
illegal before the kids were born, and we know
Yes.
one of the kids is at least 15, 16, Violet, somewhere in there.
somewhere in there.
Yeah. She's...
You're talking about the park kids.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We know that they weren't born before the illegalization happened, and
Yes.
that...
And then that did happen, and now they are illegal.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. But she decides to hijack her brother's attempt to bring back supers, and hypnotizes a bunch of people to do dastardly things so that Mrs. Incredible will look good when she does them, because she stops the monorail
Yes.
thing. She thwarts the assassination of a chancellor,
Yeah.
and then she gets the bad guy, which all those things seem to work in her favor.
It was to do that, though, so, like, when they were going to legalize it, it looked like the superheroes just went crazy and killed everyone.
But if that was the case, why not just try and stop everything from happening immediately? Like this seems like a very overly
plan.
this is a very overcomplicated plan.
It was a very overcomplicated
And
plan.
like I say, the bad guy is where the movie falls apart.
Yeah,
Which is
because
sad.
I mean, she could have immediately used all those hypnotized superheroes. Like, she sent an army to attack the kids.
Well,
And
she didn't even have to do that. All she had to do was get like one person hypnotized and be like, "No, I'm not signing this."
yeah, or they wanted to make superheroes just look terrible. I don't.
But they were already illegal, so these are problems that I had during the movie. So I still enjoyed this movie in spite of all that.
Yes.
Like, everything that happens on the outskirts of the main plot is really what is worth watching. Bob trying to deal with Jack's powers,
Yes.
developing, the way they develop.
Jack just has so many powers, it's ridiculous.
Right, but he doesn't feel... They used it correctly in a way that he doesn't feel overpowered. Like, they say this is very sporadic and it's random. Like, it's tied to the baby's emotions, and babies are very emotional, volatile creatures.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really say when he was going to flame up, or he was going to grow huge, or go intangible.
Yeah.
But they take him to Edna Modes, which it was so great to see her again. I love that character so much.
There is a actress that is on NCISLA who is like a real actor.
Well, she's based on an actual person. She's based on a very famous designer. The name escapes me. My mother knew about her,
Yeah.
and that was where she got the joke, and she explained it to me. And she's according to her, according to my mom, this was very much this person.
Yeah.
Like mannerisms, characters, they very much were like that.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, okay, well that's fun then. And this character comes back, and they say, and she runs experiments on the baby, tries to figure out ways to deal with this. And from there, you see how they work with it and make it work. But before that, you have Bob kind of breaking down.
Yeah.
Because he's trying his ass off to not have to bother Elastigirl for this. Because he knows that this is so much bigger than him. And that he should be able to deal with this. And this comes from somebody who had a parent who is very much like this. I should be able to deal with this. I can deal with this. I'm not going to call for help. And eventually it just gets to the breaking point where it's like, and this was something that I wish my dad had learned back then. I really should call for help. And over the course of this movie, you just see him getting more and more haggard and rough looking, just by the point where he's
like
at his
he's
breaking
not
point.
sleeping.
He's not sleeping. He's just got this dead eye look to him. He's just like, okay, this is happening now.
Yeah.
And I really I really enjoyed this movie. That being said, like I said, the bad guy is very, I don't want to say nonsensical, but she doesn't strike me as a well thought out villain.
Yeah.
Like, they really wanted to tell the story of parenting in this kind of an environment.
Yeah, because...
Which really comes across, and, like, the superhero stuff was secondary this time around.
I think, like, my favorite part was with Dash and, like, the remote and, like, when Mr. Incredible's car, and he was so pissed and he was about to do stuff.
Yes.
And, like, Dash is like, yeah, let's do it. And then he had to be like,
Yeah, he
I
realized
have to set an example. No,
Yes.
we can't do this.
Yes, and I was like, that was really good because like a lot of people would have gone for the schlockier part where they hit the remote on it and the car just goes vroom away and it's like, oh okay.
I mean, we eventually got that, but
well, yeah, but you knew that was going to happen.
yeah, but I enjoyed that part so much, and I enjoyed like their family one at the end.
Yeah,
Their
they
fam-
recreated the Incredibile,
But it was a family version.
but it was a family car now, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yep. Like I enjoyed everything. Like you said, the villain is definitely the weak point.
One other thing I really enjoyed that they touched on was the mind erasing, which they have this as like a throwaway thing as like an extra one to the first movie.
Oh yeah,
Where the babysitter gets her
yeah.
memory erased about the baby floating around and all that crap.
Yeah.
And they end up erasing Violet's boyfriend's memory.
Yeah, they do.
And like this is kind of a testament to Brad Bird. Brad Bird really knows how to write a movie, how to make a movie. And like anyone else would have just left that alone. Like things would have picked up normally. It would never have been a thing. But he takes the time to address that taking away somebody's memory has huge ramifications for this shit. And he no longer remembers Violet or meeting her or getting
Like
his
going
wife.
on a date.
Going on a date.
Nothing.
And it's so great because this is again repercussions of this world.
Yes.
Like there's this group that's built to set up to protect supers, so they erase people's memories of supers, and in so doing, they erase anything before that as well, where that might have had tangible significance to them. And so it's like, that's a really great scene. Like, this movie starts out so amazingly bitter and cynical for a kids movie. I'm just like, this is awesome.
This movie was made for adults. This movie was not made.
It was made for both.
It
It was made for both. Kids are going to enjoy the superhero aspect and the bright and colorfulness of it and how it has a really good message and good characters. Adults are going to enjoy it for mostly the same thing, but also because it's very, very jaded.
Yeah, it is.
Like, these are very, very much people, like, if superheroes existed, these would be superheroes that existed.
Yes.
Like, this is not the bright and sunny G.I. Joe, they blow a bunch of stuff up and it's all okay the next day. This is, you blow some stuff, you try and prevent a supervillain from blowing stuff up, you don't, and you end up in court the next day getting your ass sued into oblivion.
Yeah, like this it takes so much more detail than like
Yes.
even like Marvel has tried to do it. DC just kind of ignores it.
Yes.
But like yes, this is like
This is honestly, this is again the best of both worlds between Marvel and DC. It's the dark broodiness that DC wants in its movies,
yeah.
but at the same time, it's the feel-good action that Marvel is able to do,
Yeah.
and it blends the two almost seamlessly.
It-
I also thought there was a really great nod to the Roger Corman Fantastic Four in this.
the brick person or which one were you?
No, when the villain has Elastigirl in a chair,
Yeah.
and she's in this giant freezing area,
Yes.
and she can't stretch. That is apart from the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, when Doctor Doom has Mr. Fantastic in like a freezer strapped to a chair,
Oh, okay.
and he's trying to shift around. And like, I can't stretch. I'm frozen solid. And I'm just like, that was fun. And he has to get out of it because like there's one part of him that he can stretch and it's his hand and he just goes underneath the dome that they're in.
Still the best Fantastic
It is.
Four
It
movie.
weirdly is.
Cheapest one made, still the best.
So much fun. And yeah, like I said, that's kind of the fun that this movie encapsulates is that bizarre superhero nature. And
This is the first movie I had fun at in such a long time.
yes,
This is why I wanted to do this review, is because, like, our reviews have become really jaded.
I mean,
As
can you
of late.
imagine how much fun we're not going to have when we review Jurassic World 2?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Don't even talk
I
about
actually like Jurassic World a little bit.
it.
But we'll get into that more when we do that.
Alright, well, I guess that's it, guys.
That's about all we got. Sorry. I hope this timed out well so we made the time skip
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, we will see. Alright, guys. Well, until next time.
Jared, what do people do if they want to know more about you?
Well, they go to my Facebook,
Okay.
Ninja Mafia Entertainment.
What if they want to know when you publish new videos?
That's a mystery. We're still figuring it out. Check the Facebook, or
Really? Or maybe...
like and subscribe. Hit that little notification
There you
bell.
go. Very simple steps.
I'm trying to get a schedule. I'm trying to figure out what direction.
We're reevaluating some things here over at
Yes.
NME.
Yes, we are. We're considering rebranding too, maybe.
Hey.
All right. No, I don't know. All right, guys. Well, until next time, go check out Sean's channel, Sean the Game Reviewer. He puts videos up on a regular schedule. And,
I tried when I'm not feeling sick like I was last Friday.
all right, guys. Well, until then, we'll see you guys later.
Later.